Let's speak now to motoring solicitor Nick Freeman, friend of the show as well, also known as Mr Loophole. Nick, good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon.
What's your opinion, Nick, on this case? It's an odd case.
It is a strange case. I mean, I think, first of all, it's important to bear in mind he was sentenced on the basis that he was travelling at 96 miles per hour. So that's the formal speed. And what the magistrates have done is they've looked at the sentencing guidelines, which between 90 and 100 inclusive, so you go up to 100, sentencing guidelines are discretionary disqualification between 7 and 28 days or 4 to 6 penalty points. So what they've done is 96 miles an hour, they've split it and said, fine, we're going to give him 5 points, I beg your pardon, and fine him. Now, if you're on a medical emergency, you actually have a complete defence. This was a veterinary emergency, and I think it was on the M25 and M26. And what's surprising for me is, and I'm not doubting there wasn't an emergency, but what he ought to have done possibly is contact the nearest vet rather than embarking upon a trip on the motorway, unless the cat was sick en voyage and he was left with no alternative. So I don't know all the facts. He was also charged with driving without due care and attention, which carries between 3 and 9 points, and also a discretionary ban. Had I been the prosecutor, bearing in mind he was alleged to have tailgated at speeds in excess of 80 miles an hour, 2 meters from the car in front, I would actually say that that's dangerous. It's driving which falls far below the standard of the ordinary competent prudent driver. And I'd have actually prosecuted him for driving dangerously. Never mind the due care. I certainly wouldn't have dropped the due care. But what someone's done, and whether they've looked at it and thought about it carefully, is they've thought, well, he's pleading guilty to speeding at the earliest opportunity. Think he's got a clean license. He's got mitigation. I don't know whether that was corroborated by any veterinary bills or a letter from the vet. There should have been, to give it some authenticity and veracity. And they've thought, well, the speeding's aggravated by the fact that the road conditions were damp and he was tailgating. But on the other side, I think his license was clean. He's pleaded guilty at the earliest opportunity and there was an emergency. So all in all, they've just thought, we're going to give him 5 points. We want to get it through the system. We don't want to, delay it. And if he entered a not guilty plea to due care. And a due care is when your driving falls below the standard of the ordinary competent and prudent driver. So he's been punished. I think he did very well, quite honestly. I think he'd be extremely happy with it, particularly as he's been on record saying that, one of his more unpleasant habits is speeding in cars, and he tells a story about a well-known chef, Mary Bell, I think it's Mary Bell, who hit him with her handbag when he was driving in his car.
Nick, can I just ask you, for medical emergencies, whether they're for pets or humans, is there any leeway for people to speed if it's a genuine medical emergency?
It's a complete defence. It can be a complete defence, but obviously it has to be. I've been involved in many cases where if someone's having a heart attack or a stroke, you can't call an ambulance. It's not going to arrive in time. So you've got to get there quickly. Yeah. You've obviously got to drive carefully, and if you're involved in an accident, but you are entitled to go to the court, and there are sections which allow you to say, look, this was a genuine medical emergency. You call the evidence that support it, and the magistrates then hear it and decide whether or not they believe you, whether it was a genuine emergency, and then reflect a conviction or an acquittal accordingly. Or alternatively, you can argue it as what's called a special reason. And a special reason, there are 4 criteria, but if you satisfy the special reasons, it gives the court a discretion not to impose points and, in fact, not to disqualify you. So it gives them a completely different range of disposing of how to deal with it.
OK, Nick Freeman, thank you very much
thank you, Nick,
for your call and your insight there, actually.